We live in a world that feels disconnected, fragmented, like we're each sealed inside a bubble of thought, of memory, of skin. We pass each other on streets, we speak across tables, but deep down there's this silent question inside so many of us. Is this it? Is this world we see the full truth, or just the surface of something we've forgotten? Now imagine this. A man walks into a basement and finds a point, a physical point, glowing faintly, no larger than a marble. He stares into it and sees everything, not metaphorically, literally, the birth of galaxies, the death of stars, every moment in time, the lives of everyone he's ever known, the thoughts of strangers, the sound of forgotten music, his own face, weeping and laughing, not in sequence, not in dream, all at once, and when he pulls away, he's never the same again. That story comes from Jorge Luis Borges. He called the point the Aleph. It's fiction, but today physicists are circling a truth that looks hauntingly similar. They're starting to say that what you're experiencing right now, this room, this body, this voice, might be a kind of projection, not in a metaphorical way, not as poetry, but as physics, that the world you think is three-dimensional, solid, and out there might actually be written in two, encoded on a surface you'll never see. And that means everything you've ever known, your memories, your thoughts, the sun, the ocean, the people you love, might not be inside space. They might be folded onto its edge, just like a hologram, not simulated, not imaginary, real, but not what it seems. That's the Holographic Universe Theory. And if it's true, then you're not looking at the world, you're looking through a mirror, and what's looking back might be you. But this doesn't begin in a lab or in the stars. It begins with a fish, a tank, and a trick that makes reality fall apart. David Bohm didn't believe in fragments. He believed we only see the world in pieces because we've forgotten how to see the whole. To explain it, he used a fish tank, placed two cameras on opposite sides, one facing the front, one from the side, show the footage on separate monitors. Now imagine you've never seen a fish tank before. All you have are the screens. What do you see? Two different fish, moving strangely, reacting to one another. A mystery, but it's only one fish, one being, two views. That, Bohm said, is what our universe might be like. We think we see separation. Me, you, stars, dust, matter, mind. But all we're really seeing are different projections of a deeper, undivided flow. He called it the implicate order. A level of reality where everything is enfolded into everything else, where space and time are not containers but consequences. And this wasn't a spiritual idea. It came from his work with quantum physics, where particles that were once entangled remain mysteriously connected across vast distances, as if space itself didn't matter, as if space was an illusion. While Bohm was questioning the structure of the universe halfway across the scientific spectrum, a neuroscientist was watching something just as strange unfold inside the brain. Karl Pribram was trying to understand memory, but nothing made sense. You could remove chunks of the brain and memories remained. Rats still ran mazes, images were still recalled. No matter how much you cut, the knowledge wouldn't vanish. It didn't behave like storage. It behaved like interference, like a hologram. In a hologram, every piece contains the whole. Break it and you don't lose part of the image. You get all of it, just less sharp. Pribram realized the brain might be working the same way, not storing data in locations, but decoding frequencies from a deeper field. Using wave interference and Fourier mathematics just like a hologram does to generate our picture of the world. He said, the brain is not recording reality, it's reconstructing it. You don't see the world, you render it. The red of an apple, the voice of a friend, the memory of your first heartbreak. These aren't things imprinted in a folder inside your head. They are patterns, frequencies, waves decoded into experience. That means your mind isn't trapped in your skull. It's something more, a field, a resonator, a projector. Now pause. If the universe itself is a hologram and the brain is also holographic, then what you're experiencing right now isn't just an illusion, it's a mirror inside a mirror. You're not separate from the cosmos, you are folded into it. And every thought, every moment, every memory, it could be a ripple in a shared sea of information. What happens when you remember something lost? What happens when you dream of a place you've never been? What happens when a smell pulls you into childhood so vividly you forget where you are? These aren't tricks, they are glimpses of something deeper, of something whole. And if that's true, if what you see is a projection and what you are is part of that field, then the next question isn't how the world works, it's whether you're ready to remember that you helped build it. The story doesn't end with physics, because this theory, this echoing unity, has shown up before, not in equations, in stories, the kind that refuse to be explained, and yet feel like they've been waiting for you to hear them your entire life. There's something about the word edge that makes us feel distant, like the edge of the universe is a place far from here, a boundary where space ends, a concept so abstract we treat it like a myth. But what if the edge isn't out there? What if it's everywhere? In 1972, a quiet revolution began. A young physicist named Jacob Bekenstein was studying black holes, those terrifying voids where everything disappears, and noticed something strange. When a black hole devours matter, it doesn't grow by volume, it grows by surface area. That didn't make sense until it did. Because what Bekenstein discovered was that a black hole's information, the essence of what it consumes, is stored not inside, but on the boundary, the surface. This idea broke the rules. If it were true, then information doesn't depend on space the way we thought. It depends on edges, on limits, on dimensions we barely understand. Leonard Susskind took that spark and set it on fire. He believed fiercely that information cannot be destroyed, not even by black holes. For years he argued with Stephen Hawking, who insisted otherwise. And what began as a disagreement turned into one of the most important scientific battles in modern physics. Susskind eventually proved his point, and the answer reshaped reality. He showed that everything inside a volume of space could be represented by information on its surface, not metaphorically, not figuratively, literally. This became the holographic principle. The idea that the entire universe, galaxies, oceans, people, you, is a three-dimensional projection of data stored on a distant two-dimensional surface. Let that sink in. What you see as depth may be illusion. Just like a hologram stores a three-dimensional image on a flat sheet of light, your entire world may be encoded on the fabric of the cosmos in ways we're only beginning to grasp. And this isn't just a fringe idea. In 1997, physicist Juan Maldacena demonstrated a perfect mathematical duality. A five-dimensional gravitational universe could be fully described by a four-dimensional theory without gravity. It was like finding out a video game's three-dimensional world was entirely generated from a flat line of code. Different formats, same information. And in 2017, researchers studying the oldest light in the universe, the cosmic microwave background, discovered that the data fits a holographic model just as well as it fits the traditional Big Bang model. That's not a theory anymore. That's evidence. Now ask yourself, if reality works like this, then what is it you're walking through? What is it you're breathing, feeling, remembering? What if every moment, every heartbeat, every glance across a crowded room is not happening in space, but from space, from its edge, from its code, from the surface that remembers everything? If you cut a hologram, each piece still contains the whole image. And if the universe works the same way, then you, right now, might hold within you the totality of everything. That means you're not just living in reality, you're living through it. You are a strand of the entire weave. Every breath you take echoes across a system so vast it can't be measured, yet so intimate it might know your thoughts before you do. In a holographic universe, nothing is truly lost. Not time, not distance, not you. But here's where things get uncomfortable. If we're projections of deeper information, if we're encoded within a universal field, then who or what is doing the encoding? Where is the source? Where is the projector? And are we watching the show, or are we writing it? The answers aren't found in equations alone. They live in something closer, older. They live in the moments that don't make sense, the ones that shake us, the stories that refuse to fade. Because when the math ends, the mystery begins. And it's been waiting for us to listen, not with our minds, but with our memory, the kind that lives in silence, the kind that remembers the shape of truth before we learned how to forget it. You've had the feeling before. Maybe it came in a dream you didn't understand but couldn't forget. Maybe it arrived when someone spoke your thoughts before you did. Or when time slowed down during a moment of grief or beauty or awe, and the world felt too large to be coincidence, and then just like that it passed, and you returned to the normal. But what if that wasn't the dream? What if this is? Karl Pribram believed your brain wasn't just recording reality. He believed it was constructing it, live, moment to moment, decoding waves of information from a dimension you can't see. The mind, he said, was a lens, a translator, a holographic receiver built to render a world from interference patterns. And this wasn't poetry. He was a neuroscientist, a surgeon, a man who spent decades dissecting the brain, looking for the seat of memory, but it kept moving. Slice here, it still remembers. Slice there, it still learns. That wasn't storage. That was distribution. That was wave behavior. That was something deeper than a filing cabinet of facts. And when he saw how holograms worked, how a whole image could be reconstructed from even a sliver of the original, he saw the brain's secret. It doesn't store your life, it renders it from the code, from the field, from something that exists beyond time, beyond space, and maybe even beyond what we call the self. Think of it. Every emotion you felt, every face you remember, every story you tell yourself about who you are, all of it may be waves collapsed into images by a brain that's not just inside your head, but inside the hologram itself. That means your dreams may be no less real than waking life. Your thoughts may ripple into the fabric of the cosmos, and your perception isn't just shaped by your brain, it may be shaping reality itself. This isn't fantasy. It's the logical consequence of the theory. If everything is encoded in the whole, then your consciousness is not isolated, it's entangled. You're not a viewer watching a universe unfold, you're a participant weaving it into being. Like a hand shaping light, like a voice bending sound, like a mirror that remembers. Because in a holographic reality, your thoughts aren't just echoes in your mind, they are coordinates in the field. And that means the things you felt, that strange knowing, that impossible connection, that sudden memory of a place you've never been, may not be random, they may be signatures. Moments where the signal became too strong to ignore, moments when the dream remembered it was dreaming. And if that's true, if your mind is part of the mirror, and the mirror is part of you, then maybe what you've called intuition is more than a feeling. Maybe it's recognition of a truth so large, so elegant, so profoundly simple. We forget it every day, but not forever, because the mirror is patient. And when you're ready, it shows you what was always there, the whole inside the part. Sometimes truth doesn't come from formulas or footnotes. Sometimes it comes as a story that haunts you, a moment that breaks the rules, a thing that happened but wasn't supposed to. Michael Talbot knew that feeling well. As a boy, he lived in a house where the normal world stopped. Objects moved without contact. Stones fell from nowhere. Voices whispered from empty rooms. Scratches appeared on his body while he slept. No one could explain it. Not doctors, not priests, not science. But the fear was real. So was the feeling that reality, whatever it was, had cracked open. Years later, Talbot would discover the Holographic Universe Theory, and in it he found something rare, a model that could hold the unexplainable, not by calling it nonsense or magic or madness, but by reframing what reality might be. What if consciousness doesn't just observe the world? What if, under certain conditions, it shapes it? If the mind is a projector and the universe is a hologram, then what happens when the projector flickers? When trauma overloads the signal, when the emotion becomes so intense it ripples through the field itself? Talbot began to wonder if his childhood home wasn't haunted by ghosts, but by feedback loops between minds and matter, if emotion, belief, fear, memory could physically bend the hologram. He didn't have the math, but he had the story, and he wasn't alone. Across cultures, across time, people have told stories that make physicists squirm and make philosophers lean in. A mother senses her child is in danger from 1,000 miles away. A soldier sees the face of his brother in a stranger's eyes, minutes before learning he died. A scent, a dream, a whisper from nowhere that reveals something true. Coincidence? Maybe. But what if those moments are ripples in the same field? What if they're not errors, but clues? In a holographic universe, everything's entangled. Every part contains the whole. So that ache in your chest when someone cries beside you, that flash of memory that feels like it never happened but always was, they may be signals, not from the outside, but from the deeper order, the implicate reality, Bohm called it, the place where separation doesn't exist. And if consciousness is part of that field, then the line between you and them isn't a line at all, it's a shimmer. You felt it, that strange pull when you look into a stranger's eyes and feel like you've come home. That moment of silence that says more than words. The grief that doesn't belong to you but still moves through you. You've had those moments. Everyone has. But we forget because the world teaches us to forget. Because the dream is convincing. But stories like Talbot's, like the ones you've never told anyone, they live in the cracks. And cracks are where the light gets in. There's a tale from ancient Buddhist texts about a net. Indra's net. It stretches infinitely in all directions. At every intersection a jewel, and in every jewel the reflection of every other jewel. Look into one and you see all. Touch one and the entire net responds. Science calls this non-locality. Mystics call it unity. Talbot called it possibility, and the truth is they're all describing the same thing, a reality where you are not alone, where every thought you have, every act of kindness, every pain endured, echoes far beyond what you see. Because in the holographic field there are no small things. Everything is reflected, everything is connected, everything matters. And the stories we try to forget, they are the proof we were looking for. Not in the sky, but in the mirror, the kind of mirror that doesn't show you your face, but your place in the pattern that's been holding you since before you were born. And maybe, just maybe, you've been holding